And good Wednesday morning to you. I'm Todd Cartner, your host of GBN Live. Thanks for joining us. We are so excited you're here. Regardless of what platform you're working on today, make sure that if you're on Facebook, you accept the terms in there so we can see who you are online. We do have Facebook or StreamYard.com/Facebook. If you missed it, so you can go back and add that in there. So just open that up in a browser, and we appreciate that. We do have Terry is watching us this morning. Hey, Terry, we appreciate it. Guys, let us know where you're watching from, or if you're in there, just make sure you say hi, and we will get you on the air. And that's awesome. Today we have with us Mr. Josh Gertzog, who is with Grand Strand Answers. He is a marketing guy that helps businesses out in the area. So we're going to get him on here in just a moment. And he'll be our guest. So, guys, don't forget, if you have any questions, make sure you put those in the comments so we can get those on air. And we do want to take a moment and pause and thank our sponsor, which is Grand Strand Law Group. They have offices in Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach. You can reach them at 843-492-5422. And again, they are our sponsors. And who else we have? Oh, Casey's in here. Hey, Casey, we appreciate you joining as well. So, guys, we'll be here in just a moment. So stick around with us. GBN Live is next. All right, guys, we have with us Mr. Josh Gertzog. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Tom. Good to see you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you joining us today. You know, we kind of had to rearrange our schedule a little bit, so I was glad you were able to fit in here and join us today. So before we get too in deep here with all this marketing stuff, tell us about yourself, where you're from, your family, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Again, thanks for having me on GBN Live. Again, my name is Josh Gertzog. My company is Grand Strand Answers. I've lived down on the beach now for about 7.5 years. I have a pretty good media background in terms of my work history. I have a master's degree in journalism and communication from the University of Florida. I did a lot of work in radio. That was my primary career, but I also was the publisher of several magazines. I worked for also a business-to-business newspaper in New Jersey at one point. And about 4 years ago, I formed my own company. I was born in Washington, D.C., but I originally really spent most of my time in northwestern Pennsylvania. I've lived in New York and in Chicago. Like I said, I got my master's degree from University of Florida, so go Gators.
There you go.
And,
I hear you're a Gator. You've been a Gator twice. Is that true?
Yeah. I got my undergraduate degree from Allegheny College in northwestern Pennsylvania. And they are, believe it or not, the Gators.
The Gators.
Not too many people know that one. Most people are obviously more familiar with Florida Gators.
Yeah.
So I've been a Gator twice and have 2 Gator degrees.
Now, where are you from? Close to Allentown?
Actually, it's the other part of the state.
Oh, the other side. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not that familiar, but Deb Zimmerman that is on here a lot. She's from Allentown area. And we see Audrey's on here watching. She says, hey, Todd and Josh. Hey, Josh, love the shirt. That's what she says. Yep. He always has the shirts on to brighten our days. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So tell us about this Grand Strand Answers and how it came to be.
Sure. Most people know that there's advertising agencies and marketing agencies throughout the country. When I came here, I came down to run 5 radio stations. Those are the radio stations that Dick Broadcasting, DBC, currently owns. And I ran them for 3 years. And in 2018, I left the stations and formed Grand Strand Answers. And the reason I did was because many markets around the country that I've been through have small to mid-size marketing agencies that help out local clients. And sometimes they're a little bigger, sometimes they're a little smaller, but there's always a lot of them. And because of the changes in media and the nature of this market, what I found was while there's a whole lot of agencies and marketing companies that help you specifically with your digital product, there's very few that will help you with things outside of the digital realm.
Right.
Some of them try, but most of them kind of really prefer to be doing things like building websites, helping you with your social media, getting your ads out on the various types of kind of internet platforms that are out there. And while I do that, I really saw there was a real need for small companies who want to really brand themselves and become well known for what they are. And quite frankly, traditional media at this point is much better at branding than internet is. Internet and social, those are great at getting business for today. If you want business today, great. Here's the thing. You won't necessarily automatically get it tomorrow,
Right.
unless you keep it up nonstop all of the time. We'll talk about that later. But in the meantime, I believe heavily in traditional media. While it may not be quite as strong in radio or television or cable or print or direct mail as maybe it was 20 or 30 years ago, it's still, 80% of what it was in some cases.
Mhm.
So therefore, it's very viable, and it's a critical way for businesses to be able to market themselves. So I saw the need there. I opened up the company, and I've done very well. I'm very pleased.
And to that point, there's the small businesses out there, the mom and pop type businesses. They don't have somebody on staff to be the marketing, so they need that, and they probably need that as much, if not more, than some of the larger companies out there. And you start all that with a marketing plan. So
Right.
tell us a little bit about how that works.
Well, I actually want to comment on the first part of what
Okay,
you
sure.
said first, because you're right on the money. Every business has a marketing director. There are no businesses that don't. Now, sometimes it's the owner and the sole proprietor.
And a lot of times they are not good at it.
Well, whether they're good or whether they're not, they're stuck with it.
Right, exactly.
Okay? So
Exactly.
every single business needs a marketing director. And the question is, what do you want to do with that? Do you want to freelance by yourself? Well, before I even answer that, let me make a comment, because many times I've heard anybody that gets charged with a crime and decides to represent themselves in court has a fool for an attorney. Okay. Why should that be any different in marketing?
That's true.
Oh, well, attorneys, that's different. Marketing, oh, I can do that. Okay. I have a master's degree. I've been working on this for 40 years. I think I'm better than the average person. It's not to say I'm perfect, but it does mean that I bring a lot to the table that the average person is not going to be able to.
Right.
So in terms of that, what I do is I become the marketing director for a company. And that's really what I focus on. Now, you mentioned a marketing plan. For me to be a good marketer for a company, I have to know what they're doing. I have to really get inside the owner or the general manager, or sometimes even the sales manager's mind, to understand what they're trying to do. Okay. Then once I do that and I hear what they have to say and they tell me what they want to achieve, then I can apply what I know about marketing. And then we work together to come up with strategic plans and we execute them.
And a lot of times it's not that that owner that's their own marketing director or whatever. A lot of times it's not that they couldn't do it, is that they don't know some of the things actually even exist. I've learned a couple here recently that is out there that I didn't even know that they were there, that I'm going to start taking some advantage of, which is kind of neat. And we can talk about that later. But
sure.
But I also have a degree in marketing and digital arts, and I know the importance of branding. And branding, sometimes people think that branding is the right colors, the right logo or whatever, and it is, but it also goes much deeper than that. And that you want to have the same message going out. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Once again, I want to back up a little, but I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Sure.
If I said to you, can you name a grocery store? What grocery store might you name?
Food Line, Publix, Kroger. Yeah.
Right. If I asked you to name a bank, can you do that?
Sure.
Okay. If I asked you to name a chiropractor, that might be a little tougher.
Yes, right.
You might happen to know one because it might be your chiropractor.
Right, sure.
But when you start getting into many things that you might need as a business, if you're not known, you're not going to get called. I promise you that Food Line and Publix get the grocery business. I promise you that Wells Fargo and Carolina Trust and those kind of banks, they get the business. Why? Because they brand themselves.
Right.
And branding is not something that happens overnight.
No.
It's something you have to really work at to be able to establish. Now, you mentioned the same message, and I agree. And that's really critical. And it's funny because it doesn't almost matter what medium you choose to use for your branding. You can do it with any medium as long as your message is the same. And so therefore, it's really important at the beginning to come up with the message that you want to give to your customers and your potential customers. Because if you come up with that message and then bam it home in whatever medium you're using for a long period of time, you will develop Carolina Trust and Publix and Food Line and Wells Fargo type of awareness. Yeah. And, perhaps the best local example, and I bring them up all the time, is Carolina Cool. Carolina Cool has been branding their jingle, some of their TV commercials, some of the same messages for almost
years.
20
Yeah,
years.
that's true.
So when somebody says, can you name a heating and air company? They come out number one. Now, there's a lot of other good companies, and some of them they have done a good job of making people aware of them. But it's going to be very difficult for anybody to beat Carolina Cool.
Yeah. And to that point, I think that it's important for a business to put a little bit more marketing money aside up front, especially when they get started, just so you can get that brand out there. As a real estate agent, I tell realtors this all the time. A secret agent makes no money. If people don't know what you do, then you're not going to get any business.
Yeah.
So you got to tell everybody, whether that's even simply as passing out business cards, doing social media posts, whatever, but your look needs to be the same, your branding needs to be the same, and you need to get that message out to as many places. But the biggest thing is consistency, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to be consistent, because you can't run it for a week and be done with it.
Right. And you mentioned in the beginning, and I've heard this analogy many times, and it's one that I think everybody that's viewing and listening can understand. Imagine if you've got a really heavy wheel made out of rock. It's really hard to start pushing that.
Right.
But once you start pushing it, it becomes easier and easier and easier. And even if you stopped pushing, it's going to continue to roll for quite a while.
Yeah.
That's why pushing at the beginning and getting your message out there will provide you so much long-term benefit. And then also, with the success that you get, gives you the ability to keep pushing for longer and longer periods of time.
That's true. We touched on this just a little bit, but I want to narrow in, if we can, a little bit, talking about the medium that you use, the message you use on consistency, what elements you use in the message, and things like that. Can you just kind of, I guess, hone in on that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. And it's funny you say medium and message, because there's many aspects to marketing. In fact, I just finished something right now that says there's at least 163 different kinds of marketing. But what they really come down to is media, medium, and message. And those are the two most important things. And a lot of times I deal with people who say, well, I think we're going to use radio. And I'm like, okay, I like radio. Radio's good. Or I'm going to use direct mail. Okay, I like direct mail. Direct mail's good. What's your message? And they really haven't thought that through. Well, we pride ourselves on customer service, and we're always there. We're a locally owned company,
and that's what everybody says.
That's what they're okay. All right, but why does that mean radio? Why does that mean direct mail? Let's really hone in on that message first. Because like you said, those are the things that most people use. If you want to focus on your customer service, that's great. A lot of people take that very seriously. Then define it. Right. What does that mean to you? That means, and in the old A&P, if anybody remembers A&P, yep, is we don't stop until you say we owe. And that's a really obscure one that people don't know. But it's the definition of what that customer service means. If you just say, we have great customer service and we're really good at it, that doesn't mean anything. No. So first thing you have to do is to clarify that message to make sure it's what you want to do. Once you've done that, then the media options open up. Well, we want everybody to see our beautiful blank, whatever that is. Okay, so you think visibility is very important. Yes, I do. Well, then I'm going to say perhaps radio isn't your best choice in that situation. Sure, we can create theater of the mind, and it's not a bad idea. But maybe we should be thinking about cable TV ads. Maybe we should be thinking about direct mail. Maybe we should be thinking about some other kind of print medium. There's some very good and well-read magazines still in this market.
Yeah.
So once you got to go to the message first. First, you go to the message, and then once you've gotten the message understood, then you can make your decisions about the medium.
Yeah, that's awesome. Ashton's on here. She says, hi, Josh.
Hey,
I guess
Ashton.
She didn't want to say hey to me. Come on, Ashton. No, just picking. Hi, Ashton. Thanks for joining us. Guys, I tell you what, we do want to take a break here and get a word from our sponsor. But if you guys have any questions whatsoever, please make sure you get those in the comments, and we will be glad to get those on air as soon as we come back. But stick around, because we're going to talk about some of these services that are geared towards small businesses as well. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jess the Sand. I've been a canine liaison at Grand Strand Law Group for, 30 years? What's that? You don't believe me? I meant 30 dog years, of course. First rule of lawyering, read the fine print. Anywho, my humans at Grand Strand Law Group have a combined 20 years experience. I know, not as much as me, but that's in people years. So yeah, still pretty impressive. Real estate, estate planning, or probate, you need GSLG.
Grand Strand Law Group. Trust us, we have a dog.
Great Business Networking grew out of the idea that by creating lasting friendships within the community, we can make the community even better.
I was looking to network with professionals and to be able to refer my clients to somebody that I trust.
Well, it's really important to trust the members of the group because we really generate quality referrals, and to know somebody, be friends with them, and get that qualified referral is the key to success.
It is networking, but it doesn't feel like networking, and that is important to me. I come to the meetings, I have fun, I make great connections, and I help grow my business.
GBN, these are some of the best professionals in the market, and having that resource available to me, that's priceless.
Well, GBN is a network of business professionals that build long-lasting friendships that will not only grow my business, will grow yours as well. That's what referral marketing is all about.
GBN really is the most important marketing for your business. Check us out today. All right, guys, welcome back to GBN Live. I'm Todd, your host. Yeah, I know it's a little off there. We have Josh Gertzog with us today, who is with Grand Strand Answers, and we appreciate him joining us. And I do have to show this comment from our one and only Skylar Bird. He says, Josh, with a super cool shirt.
Thank you, Skylar.
That's right. Thanks for joining us, Skylar. We appreciate it. Guys, if you do have questions, please make sure that you get them on air so that, or in your comments, so we can get those on air as well. And we will be trying to get those answered. So let's go back and to the questions here. I think that too often that businesses feel they can't afford to advertise or to do marketing. What do you have to say to that?
Well, those are two different things. First
Agreed.
of all,
yeah.
Every business has to do marketing. The day you decide you want to have a business, you are marketing.
Business cards form of marketing.
Business cards, logo,
right.
What your sign looks like above your store,
Yep.
how you answer your phone is marketing. And people
Yep.
forget that. They just think that that's, and I hate to make you work that hard, but you got to. And the thing is, if you do it up front, then you don't worry about
And
it.
it gets easier.
And it gets much easier.
Yep.
So every business needs to be focused on marketing. And every business, in my opinion, needs to review their marketing and what they are doing and what they're not doing at least once a year. Probably more common, but at least once a year, depending on the kind of business that you are. So that's the first thing. The second thing, though, is how you are marketing yourselves. There are ways to market yourself for very little money, okay? And we could talk about some of those individually. But it really comes down to, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? And if you think about it, marketing needs to be a part of your business plan.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah.
And you have to make a decision of what percentage of your expected revenue you're going to spend on marketing. Now, marketing is broad. So again, business cards, phones, website, everything is marketing. So let's remember that. But with that being said, a business should be spending no less than 3% of what they anticipate their revenue is, up to, depending on the business, as much as 15% on their marketing. And what I will do is help you define how to best allocate those dollars with whatever you're doing. I mean, and if you only think you're going to do $50,000 or $60,000 in business in your first year, all right, so you don't have a ton of money. But still, 3% of that is still going to be about $1,500.
Right.
So if you're going to do $1,500, then I'd say, well, first of all, make sure your Facebook is updated. Make sure your Instagram is updated. Make sure your social is updated. I would probably allocate a portion of that to networking, GBN, and perhaps some others as well. But definitely do some of your networking. And then think about promotional items that you can that will extend your brand. Okay. You may not be able to do more than that. That may be all you can do.
Sure.
But don't let it happen intrinsically. Make it part of your plan.
Right.
So
yeah. And one of the things I like to think about with a promotional item, since you brought it up, is longevity. so many people bought the hand sanitizers when COVID came out, which I guess theoretically was not a terrible idea. However, what do they do with that container that has your logo on as soon as it's empty?
Right.
They throw it in the trash.
Right.
So use something that is, when I had my marketing firm, I always like to think what's going to be around. And one of the best promotional items I bought for our company and several others were the chip clips, because they use them regularly.
Yep.
You throw out the bag of chips, you use the clip again.
I'll give you another one that I just heard about. I'd heard about it before, but I haven't seen it used, is portable phone chargers.
Yes.
If you get a portable phone charger and it charges up, and then you use that to charge your phone when you're not near a charger, you're going to have that for a long time,
yeah.
And you're going to use it. You're going to find that you're using it.
Unless you're like me and you forget to plug in the portable phone charger.
But again, in both of those cases, you're thinking outside of the box,
right?
And you're focused on your message.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So we talked about some of this stuff, but let's say you have a business owner out there that doesn't have a marketing person on staff, and they're considering, or should definitely consider, getting one. What factors do they need to put into place before they make that decision to hire a marketing professional?
Well, it's kind of a complicated question. First of all, make sure that person knows a little bit about marketing. And that might sound, but ask them their credentials. Have they studied it? Do they have a tremendous amount of experience in doing it? Or are they your brother-in-law?
Right.
I think I might weigh the experience and education a little higher than your brother-in-law.
Right, exactly.
So in my case, all of my first meetings are free, okay? But that's common. Many companies do free consultations. But my thing is, I want you spending your money on the media because your money's precious. So when you're spending it, I want you spending it on the media and not on me. So in 95% of cases, I don't even charge my clients. I get paid by the media for placing the ads, because that's work that the media doesn't have to do. I work with the clients. I get the money. I help produce the commercials. We get them on the air, or we get them into direct mail or whatever. So they're happy to pay me a percentage to be able to do that. That way, as a marketing person, I can be your marketing person and not really charge you for anything.
Yeah, right.
Now, if I'm going to do things like public relations, perhaps some guerrilla marketing or some things a little different, I do charge for that. But if you're going to be using some kind of traditional marketing, I will help you with that. Now, I mentioned before, there's 163 different kinds of marketing, and probably growing as we're sitting here. I may not know them all, but I know who to go to for them. Like I mentioned, I don't do a whole lot of digital marketing, but I have 5 different digital and social media companies that I work with, and I pass off the work to, and I stake my reputation by working with any of them. I have great working relations with them. They do a phenomenal job. If you need a website, if you need a Facebook page, if you need social media done, whatever you need, I may not do it, but I have the person who will, and they'll do it right, and they'll do it as inexpensively as possible.
And that's another reason you don't want to go out and just hire this person, hire that person, and hire this person, because your message goes along with your branding has to stay the same, and that's why it's good to keep it with one company as well.
Totally.
We do have a question here from Casey. She says, "I have a testimony for Josh." It's not a it's not a question. It's a testimony. She said, "Great guy that knows the marketing, has done a great job for my business, working with my budget and increased my company branding." That's exactly right.
The dollars are coming later, Casey.
There you go. And Curtis is joining us this morning. Hey, buddy. Glad you could be on here as well. So this one's going to be fun here. I hear that when it comes to marketing and advertising, you should never put all your eggs in one basket. So elaborate on that a little bit more. I know we've kind of talked about that too, but
I think I would agree with that in 90 to 95% of the cases, but there are exceptions. Generally speaking, you want to come up with your marketing plan, whatever that turns out to be. And depending on your budget, you may have to spend most of your money in one place just to really be able to achieve what you want to do. I've known people that have done radio and maybe some promotional items in the business cards that we talked about, but have been wildly successful. In the old days, same thing with print. You've been able to be that successful just using print. But I think as long as you keep your message generally the same and then focus a little bit on the medium and how you want to use it, that yes, you can definitely spread it around and get a lot for your money.
we kind of talked about that with the business cards. One of the things I did when I started out, it didn't matter where I went. If I went to a drive-through, if I went to Food Line, if I went to a restaurant to eat, I always left 5 business cards. They're the cheapest thing you can do other than word of mouth. And I would go through the drive-through. Here's my phone. Thank you. If you know anybody looking to buy or sell real estate, here's my cards.
Right.
If you go to a restaurant, leave them laying out on the table. If you go to a Food Line, hand them to the cashier, whoever. And it really worked well to get started.
And I think you have to remember that has a place in marketing.
Sure.
Okay. But it doesn't replace other marketing.
Oh, absolutely not. It's just a great way to start
an
out.
Aspect of it.
But the end of that was that your branding needs to be on your business card too. Don't just get a simple Vistaprint business card.
Your branding needs to be everywhere.
It does. It needs to be the same look, the same imagery, the same color scheme, the same fonts, the whole 9 yards. And then you start standing out.
That's right.
I mean, I guarantee you that a lot of people, you mentioned Carolina Cool, they have the cool cat that is their logo, but a lot of people probably wouldn't know that he has an Hawaiian shirt on and the cool cat, because they don't pay that close attention, but they know that cat and they know that branding. And that's where it comes in a little bit. So here's the fun question I want to talk about. It's what's one of the biggest or some of the biggest mistakes you've seen in marketing and advertising?
I mentioned one before, and that's doing your own marketing, because then you got a fool for a marketer.
Right.
That's number one. Number two is making assumptions about the medium you want to use before you've come up with your message.
There you go.
Number three would be not sticking to the same concept of that message in the things that you're doing. And then the other is expecting marketing to work differently than other aspects of business. It's a part of what you're going to be doing for a long period of time. Accept that, own that, and adjust your business accordingly. Those are the mistakes that I see businesses make.
Yeah. And, a lot of people will put their cell phone number on their advertising, which is fine, in a lot of cases, but you got to make sure that you're answering that phone or somebody's answering that phone if you work. I had a guy that was a friend of mine. He does fishing trips, deep sea fishing trips. He never kept his cell phone on while he was out there. And I couldn't imagine how much business he lost because he didn't have anybody answering the phone during the day.
I'll give you one more, and it relates to that. I always say the second worst thing somebody can do is to not market properly. The worst thing they can do is market really, really well for a product that's not ready. Because then you tell a whole lot of people how unready you are.
That's true.
So
make
sure your product is ready when you start marketing.
That's true, because first impressions go a long way. So somebody's interested in hiring you or talking to you about their marketing plan and whatever, what do they need to do to get started?
Well, reach out to me, grandstrandanswers.com, pretty simple website. Or reach out to me at grandstrandanswers@gmail.com. Those are the easiest ways to get a hold of me. And again, a first call is always going to be free. And I love talking about marketing. And I guarantee whoever talks to me will walk away with more knowledge than they had before they talked to me.
Sure. That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. Guys, I put up Dancing Debbie here. So if you are interested in entering our drawing for a $25 gift card to Walk-Ons, please make sure that you put hashtag GBN Rocks in the your comments. Let me get that up here. Where are we at here? There we go. Hashtag GBN Rocks like you see it. And we'll get you into the drawing here in just a moment. Before we go, Josh, though, tell us about being a member of GBN or any networking group, what it means to you and why you think that's so important.
I think that, first of all, in general, networking is like any other marketing thing. You don't just walk in and own it. You have to learn how.
Right.
Read some books on how to network properly. Don't just come in and I can wing it. No, read it, learn it, study it, find out the ways to network. You'll be shocked at how well they work. I really like GBN. It's probably one of my top networking experiences that I've ever had. And the reason is because it's the friends first, business second approach, right?
There behind we keep it us on front behind us.
You want to deal with people who like you. But again, no matter what, you have to do the prep. For a long time, I was against networking until somebody showed me how. And once I'm like, oh, that's what I've been doing wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I think perhaps the best networker in the entire, you're pretty close, but the best networker in the region is Tom Winslow.
Oh, he's
Tom Winslow
he's
taught
awesome.
me just by watching him how to network.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you want to learn how to network, watch Tom Winslow.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't stand in the corner and watch everybody else network. You got to be out there in the middle of it.
And you can't worry about a specific return that day.
No.
It's all about the long term and investing yourself in your marketing in the same way that you invest in almost every other aspect of your business.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree with that 100%. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up our Dancing Debbie here. I'm going to turn her off, and we are going to get in our drawing here and go ahead and draw and see who our winner is for today. $25 gift card to Walk-Ons. And the winner today is, boom, Terry Ann. Hi, Terry. I didn't even see you in here today. Surprised you didn't have questions.
Yay, Terry.
Yeah, I know. So, but thank you for tuning in, Terry, and we'll get you that gift card. As a matter of fact, she and I have a meeting tomorrow afternoon, so we appreciate that. So, well, Josh, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
And
here,
guys, let me put up his information. If you guys want to contact Josh, you can call him at area code 609-647-3994. That's 609-647-3994. Or you can visit him at grandstrandanswers.com. That's pretty simple there. And let's see who we've got on here next week. Next week we will have Heather Maddox who is with. Why do I have Josh's name up there? Maybe
that's not me.
I didn't do it, but anyway, it's Heather, and she is with National Property Inspection. So sorry about that little typo there, but she will be on next Wednesday, and we will be taking care of that with her on. And guys, we appreciate you joining us today. Remember, if it's Wednesday, it's Grand Strand Live. You guys have a great week.